Hello and welcome to Motor's continuing coverage of the Super GT Championship, the Gran Turismo of sports car racing. We're here at Suzuka for the 35th running of the Pokka 1000K. Now, you may not have heard of Pokka, but Mark Cole, who is normally on duty for these races, has informed me that it's one of the biggest soft drinks in Japan, and Kelvin Burt, British F3 and GT champion, has done his time in Japan as well, and you've heard of that, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I was swigging one, well, fake swigging one, just to show you what it was while you were scratching your head a bit.
So we're coming round to the start of this 1,000-kilometre race. The magic number on laps is 173. Bernard Trellier on pole position for the 12 Calsonic Impulse Z. The cars coming through. It looks like we're going to get the green light. Alongside them is the Eclipse Advanced Supra, and it'll be Takeshi Tashaya driving that to start with. The NSX there, you can see in the middle of the picture, the red and white car. That's Ralph Furman. Ryo Michigami was looking very racy there, defended to the inside in the other one, the Dome car, the NSX, and we are off and racing. And I'll remind you that this is going to be a long one here on Motors TV as we settle in for probably around about, well, we know exactly, 173 laps. Now, this is the 300 field. For those of you coming new to this, you'll see two distinct classes of cars, and they started at the interval that you saw down there on the start line. The GT 500 should be at the front of the field, and a little bit more technologically advanced, 500 horsepower, got to be the same engine manufacturer. You can move it around if you want to. Manual 6-speed transmission, but crucial, no ABS, no traction control, no automatic transmission, no carbon brakes. This is a real driver's formula, Kelvin.
Yeah, that's right, John, and we can see the Calsonic Nissans away, but I don't think they need to get too panicky yet. It's a long race, remember, but he's certainly making a break for it here in the first lap.
Yes, that's Bernard Trellier, who's been in Japan. Well, about 10-15 years ago, he was in the F3 Championship in France, came over to Japan, and has really built his career since then in the land of the rising sun. F3 was the F3 champion, and then moved over to sports cars here in Japan, and he's setting a cracking pace early on. Bit of a battle going on behind, with a couple of the NSXs having a little internecine battle. Almost, in fact, that's one of the Nissans there in similar colours to the car ahead of which is the NSX, and that's still got the Supras in here as well, which look fantastic. This is really sports car racing at its most pure. These cars with no driver aids, outlandish bodies, and sports car racing for the, I suppose, for the console generation, and still loads of battles going on. It's at the end of the first lap of 173, the GT 500 field. Interesting as well, Kelvin, that almost all of the GT 500 field have at least one European driver in them.
Yeah, that's right, John, and remember, this is a longer race than normal. It's a 1,000-kilometre race, so it's not unusual to have a third driver. Normally the races are shorter and they have two drivers, but we're getting a replay of that move.
And they got a bit close there, coming down into the first corner.
Yeah, he passed him. That's the Nissan passing the Honda into the first corner.
Yeah, nice job.
Yeah, normally they run two drivers, but a lot of them have invited a foreigner for this longer race, and to make use of the third drivers, just to give them a rest, really, so that they don't get too tired between the two of them.
That was Eric Comas making the pass. He's teamed up with Masakaka Yanagaida and Sechiara in that team, so by no means a bunch of rabbits in that one. Talking of the European drivers, we've got Richard Lyons over here, Michael Crum, who's again a driver who's making his living over here, Andre Couto in this race as well, and Eric Comas we've mentioned, and of course Ralph Furman, who's become a bit of a fixture over here, hasn't he?
Yeah, Ralph's done a lot of racing in Japan, and there's one taken to the grass there, but he rejoins without a problem. Ralph's been there a long time, and course, he was successful in the Formula Nippon Championship as well, which is the
didn't he, in that?
The premier single-seater series in Japan.
That was Akira Aida in the 6-car, the Mobile 1 car, and he's trying to make up positions. I'm very surprised, and haven't seen an awful lot of this series this year. Been keeping up to date with it from Mark Cole and Motors TV, but I'm very surprised at the pace that's been set earlier on. It underlines what we say about endurance racing now, whether it's Le Mans or anywhere else. And here's Comas having a little look on the NSX, and that is, I think, Ralph Furman at the wheel of that. Yes, he did take the start, and he's done him in exactly the same place. And clearly, that Nissan's got a heck of a lot of pace down the front straight.
Yeah, front straight into the first corner around the outside, reminded me a bit of the old Formula 1, right? Who was it? Prost and Senna, yeah.
But the NSX, and what a great looking car that still is. Having a look back, that's the Arta NSX. This is, I think, the battle for 4th position. Yeah, 4th position on the track at the moment. Leaders getting away, and it will not be long before they start getting into some traffic in the opening laps of this race. And just to finish off the point before Comas rudely interrupted my train of thought, the sort of pace that's been set is quite remarkable here.
Yeah, they're pushing hard. I don't know if the teams are planning to change the tyres on each driver change or not, but looking at the way they're driving, they probably won't have the choice. They'll have to change them.
Now, the GT300 field we're looking at there, these cars slightly less developed than the 500s. As the name suggests, 300 horsepower, 1,000 kilometres. And they also get success ballast, of course, just like the 500 cars. They also allow LMGT, FIA GT, Grand Am GT and DTM cars. So you'll see a Celine in here. And there's a couple of Ford GTs as well, the 55 car with Hideyoshi Matsusada in it at the start of the race. That is one that I'm looking forward to having a look at. And there are some Porsches in there as well. But those cars running in their own category, much the same way as the GT1s and GT2s do at Le Mans, and dominated, of course, by Japanese marques. And this race, in fact, has only been won a handful of times by non-Japanese manufacturers, although this is the first time, interestingly, it's ever been in the Super GT Championship. Now there's the gap between first and second. Comas in third, Ralph Furman dropping into 4th position, and then it's the other NSX in 5th. This championship, this race rather, the Pokka 1000, has been a part of the BPR Championship and the FIA. Labra Porsche, in fact, were the first non-Japanese manufacturer to win here in '84, with Jean-Pierre Jarier, Bob Wallach and Jesus Pereira. Ray Bellum and James Weaver have won in when it was the BPR Championship in McLaren F1s, and Bernd Schneider won for Mercedes 2 years running in '97 and '98. But other than that, it has pretty much been dominated by the Japanese. Let's have another look at some action from further on. This is the GT300 field into the chicane. Fairly standard pass there, Kelvin.
Yeah, it's a very tight corner, this, though, so it does need the help of the guy that's being passed. Again, reminds us of the Formula 1 problems that we had at that chicane. It's very easy to block somebody out there, so it needs cooperation of the guy being passed as well.
These cars do look absolutely phenomenal. Opening laps then of the Pokka 1000 at Suzuka. This classic Japanese endurance race. Perhaps not a race that many of us over here in Europe are particularly aware of, but it has a great history, and it just underlines the Japanese is real interest in endurance racing. Big interest in Le Mans, of course. Now Comas is starting to look really racy on that Supra. That's Takeshi Toshida at the wheel of the white and red Supra, the Eclipse car, and it does seem to me as though Comas has got the power. Now this is where he's done it before, and he looks to do it again.
Yeah, he's halfway alongside, but he's on the inside. It's moving around on the bumps. Can he? Oh, no, very gentlemanly, but he's through now. Next one's a right-hander, so he's through. Good to see the Supra still at the front. That's a very old car. I actually, I drove in a Supra years and years ago in Japan, and it's still there at the front. Look, there is, of course, another, although they're not at the front, there's the new model of Toyota, which is the Lexus 430. Here's a repeat of that Comas move.
Got out nice and early, got in there. There's the bumps that Kelvin was talking about. Had to take a little bit of the curb on the right, which unsettled the car. But in fairness, Tashaya didn't really make that difficult for Comas. And this is the difference. In a long race like this, there's no sense in putting yourselves both off 5 laps into the race.
Exactly. They've got, best part of 6 hours probably to run. So you're not going to risk that as if you would in a sprint race. But Comas is away to see if he can reel in that leading Nissan.
Now, yeah, he's disappeared, and I don't know if there's a problem with that Supra, because he's immediately dropped back into the clutches of the 2 NSXs who have come up through the field. And Tashaya sharing with Hideki Noda and Manado Orido, one of the many all-Japanese crews, and one of the few in GT 500. Almost all the 500s, as Calvin mentioned earlier on, have got a European driver either as a permanent fixture in the squad or drafted in for these longer races. Love this circuit, proper driver's circuit, Kelvin, and everyone who's ever driven there raves about this track.
Yeah, great track, and what isn't obvious from the TV pictures is it actually goes over itself like a scale electric track. There's a bridge, and it's a figure of 8 actually, so you cross over the other part of the circuit as the elevation changes. Now,
I'm looking at that Supra there, and even this early on, that Supra seems to be struggling for grip, particularly coming into the slower sections. He's struggling under the braking. I can't imagine that he's done his rear tyres already, but he certainly does not seem to have the mechanical grip under braking and turning as he had earlier on.
No, it doesn't look that way. And there's a chance, of course, they can start with different fuel loads and stop out of sync with each other. So that's a question, but the Celsonic Nissan there still within sight of the second place Comas, and then a tight bunch for this third place here.
So there are the top 6. Ralph Furman in 4th position at the moment in that red and white NSX. It's the Pokka 1000K, part of the Super GT Championship on Motors TV, and the action continues when we come back. Welcome back to Motors TV coverage of the Pokka 1000K, and in the pit lane, more pit stops now. This is one of the SC430s, the Lexus in the pit lane. Started 13th, that's the Andre Lotterer car. He'll be handing that off to either Wakisaka or Adrian Sutil. Meantime, here is the battle for second place in GT 300. 3 different cars. One of the Murcielagos there in 3rd place. As we quickly flick back to second position. Now this is gradually being closing down as Furman has closed in on Comas. Coming around to lap 25 now of 173. Put that one down, write it down for later, because it will become important. 1,004 kilometres. Both of them in the pit lane. Oh, now it's going to be down to the pit crews then. And remember, Le Mans rules apply here. Can't touch the car apart from driver changes whilst the fuel's going in. And that's tremendously frustrating.
And effectively here, Furman's got track position because his team are situated further down the pit road. So it's up to the Nissan team of Comas to turn that car around quicker so that they can get out back in front of the Nissan.
Masataki Yanagida getting in the Comas car, and Ralph Furman will hand over to his normal teammate Daisuke Ito. And there's the leader, who has not yet pitted. No, that's not the leader, my apologies. It's now 3rd place car, who of course is making up some positions. Long stops, but remember they can't do the tyres until the fuel's gone in, and fuel is just on a gravity feed. And I think the NSX has jumped them there. Not a great stop by the Nissan team. Well, we say that sports car racing in any way, shape and form is certainly a team sport. And, well, has the Nissan been jumped by another car there as well, or is that a 300? No, I think they've lost 2 positions in the pits there, Kelvin, so clearly not an effective stop by the Comas team.
No, it's a bad stop, and he looks slow coming out of the pits as well. He didn't seem to accelerate away It looks alright now, but here comes the leader. He's going to put a lap on them.
Also, a pit stop, of course, though, and this is Trellier, who has set a cracking pace. I wonder how much longer he can go on. Be timed on fuel, of course. Everyone wants to use the absolute dregs of the fuel. There's this battle in 300 again. Second, third, and fourth, I believe. That's fantastic, isn't it, seeing those different cars coming out of the hairpin. And I don't know what we're seeing here. Oh dear. Now is that a lot? Oh, he looks like he's had a little push there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's had a shove from behind.
And looking through, I think that was the Kageyama Endless Advan car that he shares with Tomonobu Fuji. And they were third on the grid to start with. One of the front-running 300 cars had a little helping hand there. Now here's the Ford GT. Delighted to see this finally getting into some international racing. Ford don't seem to be interested in doing it. This has been an effort that has originated here in Japan. It does look good. It's a little bit, dare I say, it looks a little bit lardy though, doesn't it? It's just, it just needs to shed a few pounds. Doesn't look quite as taut as it should do.
No, and he locked up there. Let's see if the Nissan gets to run back on him.
Very
down
long,
the straight.
Very long wheelbase on the Ford as well, which should make it fairly stable. The Nissan behind it, the car immediately behind it, does look much shorter between the wheels. Another one of those specials that Kelvin was talking about. I'll get right in a minute. Only worked with them a million times. Right, here's the 47. This is the Direzza Z. Yorinobu Yasuda getting out. Masayoka Nagashima getting in. Started in 5th position. Oh, this is all getting terribly, terribly mixed up now as out comes the 22, which rejoins after its pit stop. So we've got both classes. Michael Crum has given that car over to Richard Lyons now in that 22. That was the Ortec Z, Nissan Z, and here's that battle again. That Ford just looks like it's been ironed flat, doesn't it? It's fantastic.
Very low, yeah. Of course, which is what the GT40 was famous for, because it was only 40 inches high, and I believe the new one's a bit taller.
Yeah, it is.
It's a bit of a cheat, yeah.
Actually, you don't realise how much difference there is between them. I saw a pair of them at Silverstone, a new one and an old one, and the old one is tiny compared to the new one in every way, length, breadth, and certainly height. Now we've got some of the lead runners coming through this battle for the top positions in 300, and again headlights being used. Ralph Furman was doing that to great effect earlier on, and Daisuke Ito continues on the same theme, and you can see just how much an advantage you can get if you can get through there quickly. Barely had to lift there.
Yeah, he's away. Made good work of them, and they're still tooth and nail in their own battle. Look, they're very evenly matched, these three cars. Totally different cars, but not one of them can get away.
That little special looks a bit like an old Porsche, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it doesn't look as fast on the straight as looking at the shape of the car you think it would be. There's the Zent, that'll be a Lexus there, the one that's just gone through, and this is a close battle here. Suzuka Nissan. And Komas at the back of that group.
Yeah, Komas, or at least Komas's car, he's handed that over now to Matsutaka Yanagida. Really lost time in the pits. Now here's the leader, also a pit stop. Trellier, we still haven't seen him in the pit lane. Oh no, that's the Endless car in the 300 category. So we will see now Tomonobu Fuji get into that car, and finally we see, well, he's got great fuel mileage on that car.
Yeah, he nearly put a lead on those three there, but a lap on them, but bear in mind they've stopped already, so he's going to lose best part of 40-50 seconds here, but they look quite calm. They've got a healthy lead to sit on, so no need to rush.
Jeremy Defoe will get into this car. Bridgestone tyres, just 10 kilograms of success ballast on this car. Ralph Furman's car carrying 50. The Michigami car, the green Takata Dome, also with 50 there. Not the heaviest though. We haven't seen much of the Zent Tsurumo SC. That's the Takigawa, Tagaki and Ronnie Quintarelli. They've got 80 kilos on that car. Bit of Dunbrook 20. Well, that was a good stop. Very, very good stop indeed. We've thought about 50 seconds, 42 and a half. Now we need to see back down the start-finish straight. As people running in the pit lane, never a good sign, and that's why someone has ground to a halt.
That's the 300
It's that endless car. Yeah, oh, that's a disaster. Third place qualifier in GT300 was running well up in the top 6, having that great battle, and that car has failed to exit the pit lane. Oh dear. And it is food in the car. We just saw them change over. They're going to allow them to push it back down the pit lane. You're not allowed to reverse down the pit lane, but you're allowed to be pushed. But it's always fraught with potential disaster. They can't get the car moving. It's stalled and stuck in gear. Oh dear. Might suggest a clutch problem.
Something's jammed, unless the suspension's moved, and it's jamming the... No, he's off now. They seem to be looking at the front wheel before it started moving.
Meanwhile, behind, that's the yellow hat car coming in. Oh, now, I'm not an engineer from Dearborn, but that is not right, is it? On the front of that Ford.
It has lost some weight, at least, so you should be better.
It may not be quite as aerodynamically efficient. That's on the far side of the circuit, and you can clearly see the DHG branding there. It's not looking its best from that angle. Now, what happened there? It's the faster cars coming through. Oh, that's what... Oh, is that the 8 car going through there? Oh, that's... Well, he's moved over a bit there. Racing incident, or are we going to call that a problem with the...
Well, it was being lapped by the Zanavi Nissan, the 500 class.
Yes, that was Edir, wasn't it? Yuji Edir, who's in that car now. I thought that was the Furman car, but not. So is he meant to get out the way, or is the faster car meant to drive around him, Kelvin?
Well, good argument, isn't it? But he certainly didn't make much attempt to get out of the way. And the next corner was after that as a right-hander, and he didn't sweep left to take the natural line into the right-hander either. So 50-50, I suspect. But these guys in the 500 cars, they're pushing on a lot harder than the 300s. I have to say the competition is more fraught, and they're not going to give an inch.
And as you can see, lost time due to that incident. That is the car, the Zanavi Nismo. Tetsugo Matsuda started the car. Yuji Ide in that car. He's got 50 kilos of ballast on that car, and he's racing with a car that has none. So he's clearly wanting to make the best of it. May just have slightly overstepped the mark there. It was at this point that the incident happened. Welcome back to Motors TV coverage here at Suzuka. There is the third place car. That's it. Sorry, the second place car of Peter Dumbreck, who started the car. Shall I get this right in a moment? Ralph Furman, who started the car, and Daisy Ziki Ito. As you can see, the 35 car, that's the Peter Dumbreck car. That was the thought I had in my mind. My excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Stretching these driver stints can't be easy for the guys, Kelvin, but they have settled down now, and they've actually saved themselves a pit stop, and they are up into 4th position.
Yeah, they're looking good. They started well down the order, remember? Probably 12th or 13th, was it, around there?
Yeah. 14th, in fact, yeah.
Yeah, so their pit stop work and their long stints has been a good strategy in the race, so they're well in with a chance now. They've moved up past all of these cars here, the Toms, the various Supras, a couple of the slower NSX.
And actually, they haven't been at all spectacular. We haven't seen them embroiled in silly battles. They haven't been taking any chances, and that, in some respects, is the essence, isn't it, of endurance racing. You have to decide whether you're going to drive flat out or whether you're going to work to a plan.
Yeah, and sometimes when you haven't got the quickest car or the best tyres or whatever, you need a different strategy, and you need to win with cunning and a smart strategy rather than outright pace. And of course you can gamble as well on safety car periods and stuff like that, and some of that is the lap of the gods, really. If you're in your stint, or where you are in your stint, whether you're close to your pit stop time, when the safety car comes out, of course that's always a good time to dive into the pits and switch over, because you lose less time on the track when the competitors are travelling slowly behind the safety car.
Now we need to keep our eye on this car as it comes up the main straight. There it is. Seemed to have slightly fettled that problem with the door perspex that we saw earlier on. Had the door glass really flapping around. Now there's the leader, and it's been really relatively easy for these guys, and I don't mean to decry their efforts, because clearly they won't. Working hard. That's one of the 300 cars, and there's someone off behind him there, isn't there?
Just coming out of the gravel in the first corner, the exit of the first corner. You see the dust coming up. Let's Nagashima at the wheel. Let's see if there's another car in the gravel trap, whether those are coming together.
Yeah, no, I think maybe it was just him, but there was a big pile of smoke behind him. And he's continued, as it's all getting a bit unnecessary behind him. There's some lappery going on there. That's the Zenit car, and that is the #1 machine fighting its way through.
It's an NSX there, tucked in behind. Can go through easily past that car. It's limping back. Of course, the tyres covered in dust and sliding around a bit.
And that, in fact, now is a battle that 350Z, that car behind it, which doesn't look like it should be in the same class, is a GT300 car, and that now is a battle for 7th and 8th, as you saw on the caption, between those two cars. So a little bit of opportunist manoeuvre. As you can see, it was coming down anyway, and maybe that pressure was beginning to tell on the guy in the Nissan.
Seems to go at it together now, but yeah, the prototype car got a good run off that corner, so let's see if we can pull by him on the straight here. But it's, again, not that quick on the straight compared to the bulky Nissan.
And that's all down to this equivalency formula. Remember, 300 horsepower, and you look at a car like that and you instantly think 500 or 600 horsepower, don't you?
Yeah, but he's not. He's having a go here, is he? No. Feigning, I think we call that one.
I also think as well, remember that it's a 1,000 kilogram weight limit, and that car, the prototype car behind, who is peeling at the pits, no, he's up on the inside, that car will be well under that limit, and it'll be ballasted up to 1,000 kilos.
To meet the 1,000, and again, he demonstrates he's just not quick enough on the straight, so that Nissan Z that came off the previous lap on this corner...
Oh, he's gone wide again.
Yeah. He doesn't like that one.
Well, he's given it every chance there to the following car, who is struggling a little bit with grip. The guy in the lead now, clearly.
Difficult to go around the outside in this section. In fact, he keeps trying the outside. It's not the wisest move. But, he's switching inside now. He'll get him now.
Oh, definitely. That's lovely.
Yeah,
absolutely lovely.
Big wobble from the Nissan, and he's through and away.
This car is really part of an R&D project, and has done very well. Now here's the leader in.
Dufour at the wheel, getting out.
Now watch the time. 40 seconds is what we're looking for. Let's see who jumps back into this car. I thought that was Trellier in the car, to be honest, in that stint.
And Dufour getting in.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would be right on the rotation. Yeah. And 25. Now they go to work on the tyres. This is going to be quick.
Yeah.
Very quick indeed.
Good work.
That is great work.
Go.
Now, did they only do fronts again, or did they do the rears before?
I think they did the rears before they started fueling.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
This is not something I've seen before. I've been watching a lot of pit work this year in the American Le Mans Series. We've got the Clientele Pit Crew competition, and some of the guys do backs first, then front, and some of them do opposite corners.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it do 2 tyres, fuel, and then the other 2 tyres. And I'm going to have a closer look at that and speak to some of the guys and see if it actually would work, because it's the same rules. You can't work on the car while you're fueling, and that's a finite amount of time. It's normally about 25 to 30 seconds for an American. I think it's about 30 seconds for an American Le Mans Series, Phil, and it's about 25 here, so that's quite interesting.
what I'm thinking is maybe they're not allowed 4 wheelmen, they're only allowed 2.
That's right, they are. That's
so
right.
while they've done 2 tyres, then they leave the guys to get on with the fuel. That gives the wheelmen more time to move to the other end of the car without rushing and get in position and ready. Perhaps that's the reason. It gives them more time to do it in a more relaxed manner.
Less dead time, effectively, while they're moving. What they're doing is they're cutting out the dead time whilst they're moving from the back tyres to the front.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, that.
Yeah, it's quite smart.
Well thought out. See, that's why
not me.
Well, yeah, but you spotted it.
Yeah.
Clearly a team manager's job for Kelvin Burt is in the offing when he finally decides to stop driving, which I'm sure is many years away. Back to the second place car. As you can see there, that car holding on to second place at the moment, but has had one less pit stop. Now this car again has only used 2 of its drivers, and there is the rest of the top dozen, and it's all of these cars at least 1 lap down on the leader now, as we're watching that NSX and due surely a pit stop shortly.
It was an unusual flag. I saw that wasn't a blue flag being waved, it was a something else colour flag. I thought it was white or yellow, but I can't see a problem.
Now that's Ralph Furman's helmet.
Furman, yeah.
So we are waiting for...
This is his car here, braking for the chicane.
Comes in. This time around, his regular co-driver coming in. In the pit lane. Look at the speed he's coming down the pit lane, because of course the pit lane speed limit doesn't start till there.
Yeah, where the line is across, so you don't want to waste time crawling down that pit entry. It's part of the circuit and you come in fully lit, and of course the battle then is to stop it in time before the line, or to get your speed down sufficiently before the line starts, because
now he's got 1 minute and 2 seconds between himself and the third place car, and I'm not sure with a 40-second stop they're going to be able to turn this car around in that amount of time. As Furman goes back into the car, started the car of course, with 25 seconds-ish will be the fuel. Oh, we're not going to see that. There's the car that we're waiting for, currently in 3rd position. That's 22 cars, been there or thereabouts, hasn't it, all race.
Fuel's still going in and they're waiting.
This is long.
Fuel's finished, they do the front wheels now.
Yeah.
And he's in the chicane, so it's going to be tight.
See this on the pit stop before. It's gone. Come on, it wants to be down. Wants to be down the way. Problem on the right front.
No.
He's pulled it off. Oh, they're going mad there on the front now.
Problem there.
Is that a brake problem there?
I'm looking at something. I found some problem.
Oh, already the 22's gone by. All of a sudden, burst into life there. Is that a bit of fluid under the car as well?
It does look like that, yeah. But they're not really looking at that side of the car. What's this big...
Oh, is this going into the pit? They've got the little trolleys out. It is brakes, Kelvin.
Yeah. They're changing the pads, or they got a leak of fluid.
Only on the one side?
Strange. No, they're doing the left.
It's coming off the way it's coming. It's brake pads. Brake pads. Well, that's unusual. Not a normal job, I wouldn't have thought, in a 1000k race.
No, and it's unusual for them to notice that, because normally if you were going to do that, the driver would have told them already on the radio and they'd be ready to do it, and they weren't ready to do it. They were ready to drive out of the pits when they noticed it.
It was very bizarre. The right front wheel was about to go back on when the mechanic on there saw something, whether it was a leak of fluid or he just noticed the pad. Cannot have noticed the pads were worn. It's not something you would really see. I can only presume that it's a leak of fluid, and what they're doing is putting in... They do look to be putting a new set of pads in, though. Well.
Which is not easy.
And look at the time ticking away. He's going to lose another lap here.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Yeah, the
cleaning rubbish out the front. Look at all the rubber coming out of the intakes.
Radiators.
Yeah.
2.5 minutes now. They've lost well over a lap already.
Oh, disaster. This was second place, and it's ticking away, and there's absolutely nothing Ralph Furman, who is installed in the driver's seat in that car, can do. Still not finished. Well, whatever it is, and I'm pretty certain now that this is brake pads. It was certainly not a programmed, planned service item. Yeah, they've got the caliper pullers down there. There it is, you can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, they're making a meal of this.
The guy there with the the blue overalls with Endless on the back, that's the brand of brake pad, Endless, which clearly isn't the case on this car.
Oh dear, yes, not the best. Then now it goes down, and that is 2 3/4 minutes longer in the pit lane than that car needed to be. And I'm afraid that has dropped Ralph Furman, Daisuke Ito and Toshihiro Kaneshi, who hasn't been in the car yet, qualified in 3rd position, were running in a good second and possibly had a chance to hold on to that at the end of that pit stop, but they are well out of it now and have lost laps to the leader. Brake problems on the front of that car, and Ralph Furman will be fuming inside that NSX. Well, into the darkness, the last throws of the 1,000 kilometres, actually 1,004 kilometres, but who's counting? 173 laps. That's the 6th place in the GT 500 coming towards us through the darkness. That class has been dominated by Benoit Treluet, Kazuki Hishino and Jeremy Dufour, who have all taken their turns. There's the top 6. Only the lead 2 are on the lead lap. Quite remarkable. The pace that's been set by Treluet and his teammates. He really set off at a good clip, and that was the pattern of the race. And in fact, but for 3 or 4 laps, Kelvin Burt, they've never been headed.
No, they've been the class, absolutely. And these cars we picture, was that for place there? We've just seen that.
I think it is. I think that is. You're right. Right at the death.
Yeah.
That is the Ralph Furman, Daisuke Ito and Toshihiro Kaneshi going back through in the darkness. Ralph Furman taking the last stint. That car, perhaps not with a chance of overall victory because of the pace of the Calsonic car, but certainly would have been on the podium but for that extended stop, lost well, a couple of minutes in the pits with that bizarre brake problem, but back up into the top 6, and that's why, look at the pace of Ralph Furman in this final stint.
Really moving now, that one. He's sliced past that other Zent Lexus and gone away.
Now this is important for the championship standings because Furman and Daisuke Ito are right up there, championship leaders before this race, and they may well relinquish the championship, but those extra couple of points for up into 6th place is going to make it very tight at the top. We'll have to see how the other positions roll out at the end. Kaneshi not getting into that car, just Ito and Furman having done it with just 3 laps around. That's the Epson car, 4th position for them, and behind them the Woodton Advan Kondo Z, Eric Komas, Sejiara and Masataka Yanagida.
You just can't pull him in. The gap has been a second
like
and a half.
20 laps, hasn't it?
A long time, yeah. And you just
30 laps.
So tantalisingly close, but he can't close that last bit down.
Well, this is testament, though, to what we've been talking about right the way through the race. The equivalency formulas of cars that are clearly very different in design and shape and how much hole they punch through the air.
Yeah.
It just proves how good a job these guys do.
Yeah, balancing the performance of them. But shame in a way for Comas, because to be so close and come on, just a bit more, he can't quite pull that car in.
Well, the people will be saying, why doesn't he just brake a little bit later on this corner?
Yeah.
But it's just not as simple as that, because he's already braking at the last yawning moment, isn't he?
Of course, they're both doing that. So you try and if you try a bit too hard, is that another place change here?
I think that's the leader.
Yeah,
leader coming through. Treluet, unsurprisingly, taking the last stint. He started it, he'll finish it. And I think, and I stand to be corrected with this, but I'm fairly certain that the only person who's been ahead of that car is Peter Dumbreck, who, by the way, with some clever pit work with Hattori and Tajima, have fought their way up into 3rd place. They've run inordinately long stints, and in fact, actually, I think that only 2 of those guys have driven, to be honest. Yeah, Tajima hasn't been in that car, just looking at the laps that the drivers have done. But nobody's had the pace of this car.
No, they've been the class, absolutely. I think their best lap was in the 158s, which most of the cars are struggling to break the 2-minute barrier. They're carrying only 10 kilos of success ballast, remember. Cars get penalised for success at the next race, and you can get up to 80 kilos, which is, if you think about it, it's the equivalent of carrying a heavy passenger, so it does have an effect.
That lap, by the way, was run on lap 4, right at the start of the race, just before he started hitting the traffic, but with a full fuel load and relatively new tyres. The Bridgestones were obviously working well, and this is a very, very good victory indeed. It will, if it stays as it is and nobody falls out, this will put Trellier and his regular teammate Kazuki Hoshino up into 3rd position. Their best result of the season so far, and late dramas for one of the Porsches, as the white flag is out for the last lap. It's going to be a cruise from here. Only 2 cars on the lead lap at the end of this race, and that is tremendously impressive. And the gap is still well over, well, it's about 1.5 minutes between this lead car and the chasing pack, and you get the feeling that they have eased their pace towards the end.
Yeah, he's just got to stroke it home now. He's about halfway around the lap.
Nice feeling.
Yeah, good job. They've had, they've been here a week, and it's a lot of work. It's been a hot day for them, and they've done the business. Great job. Here he is on the crossover, just going under. After this corner, he goes under the tunnel where the back straight goes over the top on the bridge there. So halfway round. Keep your concentration, but of course he's not pressing on, so chances are he's not going to make a mistake now.
The other dominant run has been in 300, and we're not seeing the 300 leader, but the 52 car, the Tayo Oil Kumo Celica, is pretty much done exactly the same in the 300 class from pole position, with Takeuchi, Saga and Sawa at the wheel. They've actually got a lap on the whole field, which is in some ways even more impressive, because you've got to be looking for the faster cars behind. Yeah,
they've done a brilliant job.
And that little right-hand tail light is still the only thing that's gone wrong. And I tell you what, you'd take that every time in an endurance race, wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's the
130R in the dark.
He's been around it enough time. He's not even using half the road there, so he's not pressing on. Bring it home safely. 2 more corners.
He'll not bother trying to get past the pack ahead of him. He should back way off those guys. He wants the photograph. He'll ease off here, so he gets the nice photograph with no one else in the picture, moves across to the pit wall and wins it in some style, as we wait to see Michael Crum, Richard Lyons come across the line. Now Fabio Carboni hasn't been in that car either. They're a long way back, but again, and this is unofficial, just by my addition, I reckon that will move Michael Crum up to the lead of the championship by 1 point from Ralph Furman and Daisuke Ito, who will come home in 6th position. We saw them just steal that last position in the darkness a couple of laps ago, as the pace car is out on the back straight to pick them up. The race is over. Get a controlled slowdown lap. How very organised.
Yeah, I haven't seen that before.
How very organised. Well, this has been a tremendous race. There is the 300 winner. In the darkness, the 52 pole sitter, the Tayo Oil Kumho Celica. And Kumho taking the honours. Should mention, by the way, the winner in the 500 class. That's the first win this season in 6 races for the 350Z, the car that was so dominant in the championship last year. So the Calzonic team take the victory for Nissan, and the Tayo Oil Kumho team for Toyota. There it is, a full lap on the opposition. It'll be the Directive Advan car, the Shogo Mitsuyama and Nobitsuru Taniguchi, another two-driver team in second, and the little Toy Story Racing MRS, MR2 as we would call them, Morio Nita and Shinichi Tagagi. They are... Actually, they were close together on the track. We haven't seen them in second and third, but they, last time round, weren't that far apart. And how far around the track they are. They may have already finished, of course, depending on where they are on the track. As the 300 winner comes through, there's the checkered flag, lit up rather nicely with a little spot lamp. Very dominant victory.
Great job they've done. They can be happy. Still spitting his fire out the side, but very dominant victory, those.
Yeah. He'll enjoy this last lap around. Now there is the overall winner, and that victory pushing them up into third position. Very tight at the top of the drivers' standings, with Michael Crum finishing then in second place with Richard Lyons in the Autotech Z. It's a 1-2 for Nissan. Michael Crum will take a 1-point lead to the 7th round of the Super GT Championship from Daisuke Ito and Ralph Furman in the NSX, tied in second place on 63 points. The winners this weekend, Benoit Treluer and Kazuki Hishino, excuse me, in third place, just 5 points away from the lead, and only another 5 points further back, Yuji Tashikawa and Torunosuke Takagi in the number one, the Zent Sarumo 430. Thanks to Kelvin Burt. Great racing into the darkness. Join Mark Cole.